Here, none of your videos will be visible to anyone apart from me, nor will it get recorded. So feel like safe to switch on your videos. Okay? Only I can see.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, but my camera isn't working.
Yeah, I can see that you've switched it on, but your video is not there on the screen.
Sorry, ma'am.
It's okay. It's all right. It's okay. Don't apologize for that. It's all right. Okay. So you might have seen. Okay. Did you people get your books? Books?
No, ma'am.
No, not yet. Okay. Once you'll get your books, you'll see that there are a variety of chapters there, and a lot of chapters are there in class 11. But out of which, this is the second chapter, that is biological classification. Today we're going to discuss and start this chapter only, biological classification. Now, see, we know that in this whole entire universe, or you can say the whole entire globe, there are various types of plants and animals and everything. Right? There are so many, like if we go to count, we cannot count it because the number is so high. Right? And that is not just for the plants and animals, it goes far beyond. It goes for the microorganisms and everything, right? Now, listen, first you people understand and then you write. Okay. For now, don't write anything. I'm just giving a like sort of like an intro for this chapter. Then only we'll begin. Okay. Now, we know that there are multiple millions of plants, right? And there are so many various kinds of animals, starting from us human beings, and then there are so many flying animals, so many swimming animals, and so many things. And apart from all of these things, there are certain, like you can say, a huge variety of microorganisms, bacteria, viruses, fungi, so many things are there, right? Now, if we go to study each of these, like if we want to study every single organism, will it be possible to take, like, pick one and study about it? Will it be possible? No, right? Because there are so many. How can you study every single organism? So, for the ease of studying, for our ease, we classify those organisms into certain groups so that we can study about them nicely. And we can study all the details. Like, for example, if we want to put any type of organism into a group, we'll classify certain characteristics to a group. Like, okay, for all those flying animals, we'll put them into one category. All those swimming animals, we'll put them into another category. Now that eases our study, right? Because in that way, we'll be able to study it better than what we, like, we cannot actually go and study every single organism. Now, that brings us, this classification aspect brings us to the whole branch of science that is there for this particular study only, and that is taxonomy. Okay, taxonomy. Now, what is taxonomy? It is the branch of science that deals with the identification of organisms. First, we have to identify them to study them, right? We should look at that organism and understand, okay, this is a plant, this is an animal, this is a microorganism. So first, we'll identify it. Secondly, we'll classify it. Like, okay, after we have identified the organism, then the question comes to mind, okay, from like which does it belong to? What is the group that it might go into? So that is classification. Now, after the classification has been done, then what do? We name that thing. So that is nomenclature. So identification, classification, nomenclature. These three things come under the branch of science that is known as taxonomy. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, the whole entire purpose of our study is clear. Now, moving forward, see, when people initially started to study about the classification aspect, there came multiple types of classifications. So, there were three types of classification: the artificial, the natural, and the phylogenetic classification. Now, talking about the artificial classification, so it was given by scientist whose name was Aristotle. And it was given in 350 BC. Imagine how long before Christ. Okay. So in the artificial system of classification, Aristotle took into consideration the morphological features. Now, what is morphology? Does anybody know what is morphology?
Death.
Hmm?
Death.
No, not that. See, morphological features refers to all those features that are externally visible. For example, if I have black eyes, you can see that. You can say that, okay, ma'am's eyes is black. That is my morphological feature. If my hair is golden, you can see that, and you can say that ma'am's hair is golden. So that is my morphological feature. So all the external features of an organism, of any organism, is its morphology. Clear? So if I write morphological features, you must know that I'm talking about the external features. So he took into consideration only and only the external features. And what he did is that he, on a general basis, divided organisms into animals and plants. Now, under the animals, he classified them as enyma and aneima. Enyma means all those animals that had the red blood cells. Aneima was all those organisms that did not have the red blood cells. So he described, first of all, he differentiated the organism as to animals and plants. And then he said that, okay, under animals, there will be two kinds. The first will be those that have the RBCs present in them. The second will be those that do not have the RBCs present in them. Okay, so this was for animals. Now, when he talked about plants, he said, okay, depending upon the size, he classified the plants as the taller ones will be the trees, the short height plants will be the shrubs, and even tiny ones would be the herbs. So he just classified the plants on the basis of size, and he classified the animals on the basis of the presence or absence of the red blood cells. This much is clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. Now, remember one thing, that we cannot just look at the morphology and understand everything about the organism. It's not possible at all. We have to see everything about that organism. Like, how does it eat? Does it move or not? Does it, you can say, is like, how, like, what is the kind of food that he eats? Okay, so all of these things we have to take it into consideration. So again, Aristotle giving the artificial system of classification or artificial type of classification, it was the initial, like it was the start, but it was not practical. Okay, artificial system of classification is clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, after that, there is the natural system of classification. Now, natural system of classification was given by Bentham and Hooker in the year 1862 to 1883. Now, they were two scientists, Bentham and Hooker. They came along and they gave the natural system of classification. Now, according to them, what are all the characters that they took into consideration? So, first they took morphology, meaning the external appearance. Then they took anatomy. Now, tell me, what is the meaning of anatomy?
Internal organs.
Very good. See, the cell structure, the internal structure, such as how the morphology is the external appearance and anatomy will be the internal structure. Clear? So now he took something of the inside as well. So external appearance, that is morphology, internal structure, that is anatomy. Apart from that, he also took into consideration cytological characters. Now, cyto means cell. So the characters of the cell, he took that into consideration as well. And apart from that, he took the reproduction, like whether the organism reproduces or not. If it reproduces, what kind of reproduction it is. So all of these things were taken into consideration. Now, do you see that, do you feel that this is more practical as compared to the artificial system?
Yes, ma'am.
Isn't it? It seems more appropriate. It seems more practical, isn't it? Okay, but see, and after they gave the natural system of classification, what they did was print it or publish it in a book, and the book that they use or the book that they published it was the Genera Plantarum. It is the name of the book, so you must remember that. Okay, is this much clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what happens, Anand? You switched off your video?
Ma'am, my internet is lagging.
Okay, okay. All right, so this is the natural system of classification. Okay, so I see that we have a new student join in right now. Hi, can you introduce yourself quickly? Yes, you.
Hi, ma'am. My name is Sabiha.
Okay, your name is Sabiha. All right. Have your classes started at your school?
No, ma'am, not yet.
Okay. Okay, so I am starting with this chapter, that is biological classification. Okay. I have started quite a lot, but to give you a little brief so that you don't feel left out. So this chapter we are studying is the biological classification, wherein we are going to study how different organisms are put into certain groups so that we can study them easily. Okay, here we form major groups. Now the classification aspect comes under the branch of science that is known as taxonomy. Okay, taxonomy is that branch of science that deals with the identification. Okay, wait, I'll write it identification. So taxonomy deals with the identification, classification, and nomenclature of organisms. Now, identification means to identify something, what kind of organism it is, right? You understand identification? Okay. Now, after we have identified stuff, we put them into certain groups. So that putting into certain groups is classification. And then after we have put them into certain groups, we name them. So that is nomenclature. So all of these things we are going to study under taxonomy. But more importantly, we study about the classification, like how did we put it into certain groups and what are the groups. Now, at that point of time came in the different types of classification. Is my screen lagging in front of all of you guys also? Okay. Then came the types of classification. So there are three types of classification. First is artificial, second is natural, and the third is phylogenetic. No, you can't write it right now. I'll give you time to note that. Okay, first let me explain, then I'll give you time to write. Now, the three types of classification: artificial, natural, and phylogenetic. See, artificial, the name only suggests artificial, right? Now, artificial system of classification or artificial type of classification, it was given by Aristotle in the 350 BC, very early. Now, what he took, he considered morphological features. Morphological features means external features. Okay, features that are externally visible, like my nails, you can see them, like my finger, you can see them. All of these are the external features. So he took that into consideration, and then what he did is he divided organisms into two groups, that is, one is animal and one is plants. Then furthermore, he divided animals into two types on the basis of red blood cell. Okay, if the RBC, the red blood cell, is present, then that type of animals were N-ima, and when the RBCs were absent, then those were the An-ima. So he classified animals into two types depending upon the presence or absence of RBC, N-ima, An-ima. This is clear? Then he classified the plants depending upon the size. The taller ones were the trees, the shorter than them were the shrubs, and the smallest, the tiniest one were the herbs. So he classified the plants and animals in this way. But this is not at all practical. Okay, it was initially done. It is good that it was done, but it's not practical. Then came the natural system of classification. Now, natural system of classification, it was given by Bentham and Hooker in the year, like from the year 1862 to 1883. Now, these are all the characters that they took into consideration. First, they took the morphological characters, meaning the external appearance. Then the anatomy, that is the internal structure. Okay, internal structure, that was also taken into consideration. And lastly, there is the cytological character, that is the information about the cell. The word cyto means cell. Okay, so the characters about the cell is the cytological character. And lastly, there is reproduction. He took into the reproduction into consideration. So all of these characters he took into consideration, and then he published this system of classification in a book, that is Genera Plantarum. Okay, like people publish their ideas in a book, and that book that they publish, you must remember the name of the book, that is Genera Plantarum. So artificial and natural system of classification is clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, now you people can note down. Yes, Anna, from the whole entire thing, this is the heading. This is the heading. Then you can write about taxonomy, that it is the branch of science that deals with the identification, classification, nomenclature of organisms. This is first, okay. And then you will write that there are three types of classification. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Everyone's done?
No, ma.
Okay, take your time. Also, students, you can unmute yourself and speak. It's all right. You don't have to write it in the chat box. You can speak in the class. Okay, feel free. Don't be so restricted. If you have any doubts, you unmute yourself and ask. It's fine. Okay. Don't write it in the chat box. You can talk to me nicely. Be frank.
Okay, ma'am.
Done, everyone?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
All right. Okay, so we have discussed about the two systems of classification, that is artificial and natural. Now, apart from that, there came another system of classification, which is the phylogenetic system of classification. Now, when we were studying about the natural system of classification, we saw that all of the characters are considered: morphology, anatomy, cell, reproduction, but still one thing was missing. What was that? It was the evolutionary history, meaning the ancestors, right? We talk about ancestors like we are related to this, we are related to that. So that was missing. And when the phylogeny, meaning the ancestral history, when that was considered, then we'll call it as the phylogenetic system of classification, and it was given by Engler and Prantl from the year 1887 to 1899. So up until now, we have discussed about the different, like the various types of systems of classifications that are there. Now, after that, people started forming kingdoms. Okay, now see. Whenever we talk about the hierarchy, you people understand what is hierarchy?
Yes, ma'am.
What is it? Tell me, explain.
Like what is being occupied from a previous one?
What is being occupied?
From a previous one.
Sort of like, see, if we talk about the hierarchy of how the organisms are found, okay, so it starts with kingdom. The highest form of hierarchy is kingdom. Okay, then comes phylum. Okay, after phylum, there comes class. Then comes order. Then comes family. And genus. And then comes species. Okay, so kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. Now, kingdom is the highest or the largest form of hierarchy. Like if we want to divide the kingdom, we'll divide it into big groups. This is the big groups. Now, phylum is smaller than the kingdom. Okay, phylum in the case of animals and division in the case of plants. Okay, phylum in the case of animals and division in the case of plants. Then comes the class, order, family, genus, and species. Okay. But see, I have started a second chapter, that is biological classification. To understand this, we'll discuss a little bit of what is there in the first chapter as well. Okay, sort of like to get a better understanding. But we'll do so in the next class. For now, you must remember this one thing, that the hierarchy system goes like this: kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. See, and if you have trouble to remember this, then I have a mnemonic for you. You can write down: keep pots clean, or family gets sick. Okay, you can remember this one thing, that keep pots clean or family gets sick. So K is for kingdom, P is for phylum, C is for class, O is for order, F is for like family is for family only, G is for genus, and S is for species. Clear? Okay. Now, because of this very particular thing, came the kingdom system of classification, like kingdoms. Okay, now we start to divide organisms into kingdoms. Now, when we do so, there is two kingdom classification. First, initially, the whole entire organisms were classified into two groups. One is Animalia and Plantae. So, kingdom animal, kingdom plant. Okay, two kingdoms. And this was given by Carolus Linnaeus. And this person, Carolus Linnaeus, is known as the father of taxonomy. Okay, the father of this study is known as the Carolus Linnaeus is the father of taxonomy. Now, he gave the two kingdom classification, wherein he divided the whole organisms into two kingdoms. One was kingdom animal, the other was kingdom plantae. So, kingdom Animalia and kingdom Plantae. It was proposed by Carolus Linnaeus, who was known as the father of taxonomy. This much is clear?
Yes.
Okay. Now, while putting organisms into two huge kingdoms, he took all these characters into consideration. He took the cell wall. Okay, cell wall, you understand what is a cell wall?
Yes, ma'am.
Is the cell wall present in animals? No,
No,
very
ma'am.
good. So yes, the cell wall is not present in animals, it is present in plants. So all those organisms that have the cell wall, they belong to Plantae, and all those that do not have the cell wall, they belong to Animae. This is how he thought. Then there is locomotion, meaning whether the organism can move from one place to another or not. So in terms of locomotion, can plants move?
Yes.
Can plants move? Who said yes?
No.
No,
No.
ma'am.
No, plants cannot move, right? Plants stay there. Imagine if a plant keeps on moving. You took a rose plant, you kept it on your window, and the next day you're finding it's not there. It went into some other room. How creepy would that be, isn't it? So no, 100% the plants do not move. So because of that, they said, okay, the ones that will not locomote will be in kingdom Plantae, and the ones that will locomote will be in the kingdom Animae. Then mode of nutrition. Now, if we talk about plants and animals, which one out of them can make their own food?
Plants.
Plants can make their own food by photosynthesis, isn't it? So all those organisms that can make their own food belong into Plantae, and all those organisms that cannot belong into Animalia. Lastly, there is response to external stimuli. How is the plant and animal responding? So Carolus Linnaeus took all these characters into consideration and gave the two kingdom classification, wherein he gave the two kingdoms as kingdom Animalia and kingdom Plantae. This much is clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Any doubts?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Now, after that came the three kingdom classification. Now, there came another person whose name was Ernst Haeckel, and in the year 1866, what he did is that he added a third kingdom. Okay, kingdom Animalia exists, kingdom Plantae exists. Now, he added one more kingdom, the third kingdom, and that was kingdom Protista. And in this particular kingdom, he included all the unicellular eukaryotes. All the unicellular eukaryotes were included in the three kingdom classification. Now, do you people know the difference between eukaryotes and prokaryotes?
No,
You do?
ma'am.
Okay. See, okay, all those organisms that have a membrane bound nucleus, a nucleus with a membrane surrounding it. Okay, those organisms are known as eukaryotes. And all those organisms that do not have a membrane bound nucleus, those are the prokaryotes. So eukaryotes and prokaryotes are two kinds of organisms. Clear? This is the difference between them. Eukaryotes, you can write down that under eukaryotes, you can write down organisms having membrane bound nucleus and cell organ. You remember from Unit of Life chapter, cell organelle? So organisms having membrane bound nucleus and cell organelles are eukaryotes, and those that will not have these things will be prokaryotes. Now everyone knows that what is the difference between multicellular and unicellular?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, all those unicellular eukaryotes, meaning all those eukaryotes that had just one cell in their body, they were put into the third kingdom, that is kingdom Protista. So now we have three kingdoms: kingdom Animalia, kingdom Plantae, and kingdom Protista. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So first of all, you note down till here. First, you write this part.
Ma'am, we should note down the mnemonic too.
Yeah, if it's going to help you, note down. It's going to help you only. And this is the series. Okay, you cannot put anyone above or below. This is how it will go. Okay, this is the highest, and the species is the lowest. So this will be the series forever. It will not change. Everyone's done?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, ma'am.
Ma'am, can you scroll down?
Everyone's done?
Yes,
No.
ma'am.
Okay, that's basically it that I've taught till here only. You can note down. Done, students?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay. All right. Then let's just keep it till here only for today. And after the class, after you people leave the meeting, you will be getting a homework. Okay. So please do that homework and revise the notes that you have taken down. Okay. Now in the next class, we'll continue from here only. Okay.
Ma'am, on the Learnivio app,
Yeah, you will be provided with it. Don't worry about
ma'am, can you tell the days on which the bio class will be scheduled?
it. I think this is your first class with me. So